Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lock Shop. Dustin Nielsen with you. And look who is back. It is Huss, back from Mexico, back from the wedding. We have not talked since Patrick Mahomes got the job done in another Super Bowl. Huss, it feels like forever, my man.
It really does, Dusty. It really does. First off, big shout out and thanks to Patty and Jake for holding it down. It had been, I'd never really taken a week off since we started Winnipeg Sports Talk. So it was a hell of a holiday. And needless to say, I was in a great mood for the entirety of it. Got there like late on the Friday, had a great Saturday, which actually happened to be my birthday, leading right in to the Super Bowl. And I will say this, like, I had an incredible time afterwards. I had the Chiefs luchador mask ready to go, threw that on after we won, big celebration. But that game took years off my life, I think. I mean, it was like there was not a moment that I really felt comfortable until Mecole Hardman caught the game winner. Like, I guess in the second half when the Chiefs went ahead after the muffed punt.
You got to calm down for a bit.
Right afterwards, then okay, it's feeling good. But I mean, if I had had one of those heart trackers on, I still think about the 3rd and 4 with, what was it, about 2.5 minutes left. Knowing that if the Niners got that first down, they pretty much were going to be able to run the clock down and send Moody out there to kick a game-winning kick, which would not leave Mahomes very much time on the clock, if any. And man, Spags, like, I know we talk a lot about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and certainly the players on the defense, but oh my God, did Spags have a masterful playoffs. I mean, we talked about the Ravens game that was really a masterpiece. I mean, him dialing up that blitz with Trent McDuffie, untouched, getting in Brock Purdy's face and getting a hand on that ball on 3rd and 4 to not only not get them the first down, but stop the clock. It was, he was so damn good. He got his contract afterwards, which was great. Obviously horrible to hear what happened at the end of the parade.
Yeah.
But listen, man, I mean, I've been saying it all year long. Until Patrick Mahomes is out and there's zeros on the clock, do not count out the Chiefs. And they completely turned it around from a really, really ugly sort of first 10 games of the season. And arguably their worst game of the year against the Raiders on Christmas Day. And from that embarrassing loss at home, they showed why they're the number one team in the NFL, and they got it done. And I believe we were all on the Chiefs in the Lock Shop.
We were. It was unanimous. We were on the Chiefs in the Lock Shop. Yes.
Dude,
so
like
that helped.
A bigger story. And again, I haven't talked to Pat or Jake to find out how ugly it was for Coolbet. But sports books in general, I think, got absolutely murdered in the Super Bowl. And it doesn't make sense. We talked all week about the line. Like, we were looking.
Yeah.
Go to Coolbet. Well, 76% of the bets and the money's on the Chiefs. Why are they still at plus 110? And they didn't, the books did not really.
Never made sense, did it? Like, the whole week we're sitting there going, what the hell's going on here?
I heard a stat, and again, I'm sure this is different from book to book, but I think one of the bigger books operating in New York had a $4.8 million loss on the game on $10.8 million in bets. So, I mean, think about that. I mean, you're talking like 48% of your handle loss after everything is done up. I mean, it seemed weird all week long that this wasn't a pick 'em, or it wasn't a little bit more closer to, like, if KC was going to get all the money, why wasn't the number going to come down a little bit? And it didn't. And maybe we saw that. I mean, you can certainly make the argument that San Francisco could have won that game in a bunch of different ways. But I'll tell you what, I mean, at the end of it all, the defense got the ball back for Patrick Mahomes, and maybe the most embarrassing thing about it. I mean, what did you think about San Fran taking the ball in overtime? And then
we broke that down on the Monday. I mean, it just players after saying they weren't aware of the overtime rules in the playoffs was something else, man. Like that's all time. That's an all-time bad look. I just don't know how that's. I mean, the decision itself was something else. But then after you get players openly admitting, like, I didn't know about the rules in overtime in the playoffs. I was just like, oh my God, man. Like how? And I know the coaching staff was saying, oh, we talked about it, but they didn't talk about it with everybody apparently. And that was not a good look.
Talked it through. I mean, like, and I know I've kind of been going back and forth with some folks over the week, on the aftermath of it all. But I mean, just think about it. Like, you're giving Mahomes, like, once the other team has gone and you're getting the ball back, regardless of whether it's a field goal, whether it's a touchdown, the situation and you basically have an extra down. Like if things were reversed and the Chiefs had gone first and got the touchdown, well, I guarantee you the Niners aren't kicking it on fourth down.
No, exactly.
They're going for it. I mean, like the only way that works is if it's field goal, and then the Niners get the ball back first, like with the third possession.
Yeah, with the third possession.
Going to win. But I mean, you can't count or guarantee on that against any team, never mind the Chiefs.
Interesting point from Rod Z in the chat. He says, Haas, the books wanted the Chiefs. Why? Because San Francisco futures would have crushed them even more. So, I mean, I never thought about it that way until Rod Z brought it up.
Would there have been that many future? I mean, like San Fran was the first team in 7 years to be favored in every game all season long.
So you're saying that like there were probably a lot of people who would have bet the Niners to win the Super Bowl, but you're thinking the numbers wouldn't have been crushed like so much to crush them.
Yeah. Like I'm not sure. Like it wasn't like at the start of the year they were 40-1 and everyone jumped on them, and then it just went down throughout the year.
Those numbers would have been very manageable for the books usually most of the time, right?
Yeah. Thought, I mean, if anything, I mean, there were Chiefs 9-1, 10-1 numbers out late in the season. I mean,
I can't even imagine how badly the books would have been crushed even more if Travis Kelce had a touchdown in that game. I mean, everybody in the world would have been on Travis Kelce to score a touchdown in that game. So that certainly helped, I think.
Yeah, well, Rod Z, you were right there, was on the under Chiefs and MVP. Yeah, I got a lot of love on Twitter after from Lock Shoppers after that one, because basically it was like a clean sweep, certainly of those picks. Obviously, the props didn't come in as you would have thought. You mentioned Kelce, although his number, like his catches and total went over.
Yeah,
it was the touchdown score. And a couple of weird touchdown scorers in MVS and Mecole Hardman for Kansas City. Not really the guys that you would have thought right off the bat. MVS did hit his total. But the fact that we went to overtime, almost double overtime, and the game still went under by half a point was I didn't even realize. I had sort of just written the under off once the game got to overtime. It wasn't until a few hours later, I think I texted you guys, holy shit, the under came through as well. I was in celebration.
I have to know, obviously, you had a lot going on last week, the wedding and everything, and your team won, so you were happy. But did it kill you not to be able to talk about it for the whole week? I mean, I know you're talking about it with people down there, but man, that must have drove you nuts a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I was certainly looking forward to checking in after the fact on what was going on here. I was going to do a little victory lap on WST, but I figured I would let the guys kind of do their thing. Do their thing. But as I say, I'm back on both shows, and as we get into the off season, I'll be more than happy to remind people.
Oh, I know.
That the Chiefs, like I had a couple statements on like after the Raider game, just going out on the show. Listen, everyone, the Chiefs aren't losing another game this season. I was just getting killed by everybody. There's going to be There might be a couple I told you so today to the WST chat. Just saying. But to be honest, I don't know how much we'll get into that because we're coming out of a crazy weekend, long weekend with a ton of hockey. And tonight, Jets Wild. This has been the game that we've had circled on our calendars since the end of December. And Jets actually coming off one of their worst games of the season. Monahan comes up with the natural hat trick in the first period, and then they just sort of played like the worst versions of previous years. 4 goals off the rush. The most they'd had in a game all season long was 2. So it was we'll have lots to get to a little bit later on. But did you see any of the Jets Canucks game on Saturday night?
I didn't get into well, I'm trying to think here. No, I don't think I did. I don't think I got into it. Busy with family all weekend. I didn't get into any of that game. My parents were in town.
Tourney.
Big tourney for sure. It's played goal, kind of got a little bit of everything. I think that was probably the last time to see Marshall Bokeith Nielsen as a goalie. I think that might be the end. He played net 3 times this year. He looks the part, but we played a tier 1 team and or a really good tier 2 team. I'm not sure. I think it was one of the smaller organizations, and it's listed as tier 2, but they're tier 1, and they peppered him. He must have faced 70 shots. He was exhausted when it was all said and done. So as we're walking out, he goes, "Daddy, I think I'm going to be a forward, maybe a defenseman, but not a goalie." I was like, "Yeah, no problem, man. Like, don't worry about it."
The funny thing, I was looking at that picture you put of him up there, and then thinking about how big you are in real life, and like that's sort of like the prototypical new goaltender.
Oh, I know, man.
Like, you can get a guy that comes out like what? How tall are you?
Well, I'm 6'5".
You're 6'5".
Yeah, I'm 6'5".
6'5" goalies are great.
Well, we measured. That's what I looked at. I was just like, man, like you're gonna be a giant. You're gonna take up a ton of the net. Like Tammy, my wife's 5'9", but she's got 2 cousins who are 6'7", like giants. So he's got it coming on both sides here. And I was looking at him and go, "Man, you're going to be so big. Like, we got to teach you to slide properly on your knees side to side. You'll be a great goalie." But so I would totally support it. It does not look like it's going to happen. Like he turns 9 on March 6th. So we were putting together like his birthday poster, and you measure height and weight and stuff. And he's 4'11" and a half. So I mean, there's a chance here that he's 5 feet tall by the time he's 9 years old. So he's gonna be a big boy. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, missed on that. I want to get to the hockey in one sec, because we did hit the golf parlay this weekend, and we missed you on golf last week, but we put
but I saw you put Finau in.
We put Tony Finau in just for you. Patty and I are sitting there doing our picks, and I said, we each got one, and I was on Sam Burns, and he was on Morikawa. And I said, I feel dirty here if we don't throw Tony Finau, an event that he's done extremely well at. He's been so close a couple of times. So we're like, you know what? Let's throw Tony Finau in. It was just 3 top 20s. There's no top 10s in there. It was just under 5-1. But we hit it, which is a nice way to kind of get rolling on the golf season, buddy.
No, absolutely. And speaking of Finau, where I was in Mexico, we flew into Puerto Vallarta. And then, I don't know, it was about 40 minutes kind of up the coast. But I realized that just a little further up from where we are at this peninsula is the golf course that I believe is hosting the Mexico Open
this week.
And this week now, yeah. And I was walking through the airport in just this great mood. All right, just got to Mexico and blah, blah, blah. We're here. And I look, and whose smiling face is greeting me in the PV airport?
Oh, my God.
Tony Finau. Promoting the Mexico Open coming up. So he's gonna be a big favorite for this event tomorrow. I think, let's see here at Vedanta. Yeah, what do we got? Yeah. Oh, plus 750. I thought it might be plus 700 or a bit less. But I mean, he's at 750. Højgaard is 16-1, and then everyone else is 22 or less. So you'll get some good numbers on everybody else. But Tony, very chalky, but has played there well. He's really the one top player that consistently goes to that event every year. So I know we can get in on that tomorrow. Oh, and not to mention, curling, the Scotties is underway.
The foremost leader in curling betting.
Big controversy coming out of it. Carrie Anerson's lead, Brianne Harris Did you hear that? Like deemed ineligible like 2 hours before the first game?
Right before it got going, yeah.
And they've said nothing on it. So
Has there not been an update on that story at all?
There's not been an update. No one
wow.
can confirm anything. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are speculated. But I mean, it's very tough to, you know how the big Jays work. I mean, unless you can have things independently confirmed or whatever. I would imagine that at some point in the next couple weeks, there will be some sort of official statement. I mean, you just can't take one of the top players out, say, oh, they're ineligible, and then that's it. But I can never remember a scenario like this where everyone has been so tight-lipped on why Brianna Harris can't play right now for Canada. And let's not, this wasn't just any team. This was Carrie Anderson's rink that's going for a record 5th straight Canadian championship. But I think they're 3-1 so far right now through the round robin. They'll still be a tough out, but a little curling drama to start like Scotty certainly got a lot of people talking.
We'll get to the Scotties and work our way through the week as Huska gets back up to speed. When did you actually get home, buddy?
I got home really early on Saturday.
Okay. All right.
Like, I think our flight was like 11:30 or something out of PV and got back about 4:30 in the morning on that Saturday.
Right,
Saturday was a bit of a write-off. I sort of woke up right into that late Jet game and then sort of used Sunday to get my life back together, and yesterday was a game.
You did text me saying that this place was phenomenal that you stayed at. You're like, EST, WST, joint trip. What do we have to do here?
If we could possibly work out, here's a hashtag not spawn, but if you're looking for like, I'd heard a lot of people that have been to all inclusives before, and like I think there was varying levels of it was great. Like, so I think
I've been to a couple.
The places will look pretty nice, but there's so many other things that, you know, if you're there for a week that you want to make sure, like the food at this place was freaking unbelievable. All sorts of restaurants, buffet, you know, during the day, great spot. And then the swim up bars, staff was awesome. But what really put it over the top was the fact that they had a sports bar there as well. And I was able to get the Jet Pittsburgh game on. The weather was bad, so the satellite was cutting out, I guess, or whatever we were getting it on. So I missed about the first period of the Jets Sharks game. But other than that, we had hockey games to watch and throw a little sprinkle on each and every night, and then worked it around. So yeah, I guess we were on the dream side of things because a lot of people there for the wedding had kids. But the adult side is the secret side of things, which I went through. It looked pretty good. So yeah, highly recommended if you're heading down there. Certainly on the food side, it was phenomenal. And everything else couldn't have been much better. All that being said, though, great to get away for a week during February, but we're right back at it. March Madness is coming up just around the corner.
Yeah, not far away.
And I think right now we're seeing a lot of games, like certainly for the Jets. The Jets didn't play a lot over the last couple of weeks. But man, like yesterday was a busy day in the NHL, and they're coming right back at it with another slate of games. I think that's why there were so many afternoon games yesterday, to give teams the chance to travel, because they were going to get right back at it tonight. And as I say, we got a big one here in Winnipeg. We're going to be working on a WST exclusive a little later on today.
I derailed you a little bit because you were talking about, you asked me if I watched that Winnipeg-Vancouver game. You know, I saw the end result. I was very impressed. A roller coaster weekend for the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, we could talk about the Canucks a little bit too after what happened to them against the Minnesota Wild yesterday. But interesting weekend. And you're right with the games. Like the Oilers had a stretch here to wrap the season. They played 36 games in the final 66 days of the season. And that is now underway. So they're playing like more than once every 2 nights the rest of the way. So jam-packed schedule for the Oilers. They had a bunch of games in hand as well.
Well, you look at where teams are right now, just as far as games played. And in the East, Ottawa is still the least with 52. Pittsburgh's played 52. And then in the West, the Jets in the Central are 53. Everyone else is at 55 or 56. And then in the Pacific, Edmonton's at 52. And the Kings are at 53. The Kings, who have shown, it's weird, they've shown a little bit of life. They have that big win against New Jersey. They then lose 7-0 to Buffalo, but come back and Kempe scores 2 goals late to win on Yager retirement night, which was another highlight of the weekend. Did you see Yager's speech?
Oh, yeah. we were on Yager today. We talked about it a little bit this morning. I mean, that picture posted with Ron Francis and Mario Lemieux and Yarmer Yager looked great. And then when he gets out there and the speech, his girlfriend's too young to remember him playing for the Penguins. He dropped an F-bomb on the broadcast, like full Yarmer Yager weekend in Pittsburgh.
I loved it. And, I did see a picture today, and it is true. Yager, Lemieux, Crosby, Malkin. That is a Mount Rushmore of stars from one team that I don't think can be touched. I mean, I guess if you include Montreal Canadiens all time, but I mean, essentially for any team, I guess if you think about it, I think I might still put Pittsburgh. I mean, Edmonton back from the, Gretzky.
Well, if you were to go Gretzky, Messier, McDavid, Draisaitl, they're all Hart Trophy winners and stuff. Those would be the two.
Yeah.
And then if you go Montreal Canadiens all time, they would get on the list as well. But that's probably it. I mean, it's probably just those three that with the all-time great thing. Like,
I mean, that is such a murderer's row. I mean, anyways, the Yager thing was amazing. The crack about his girlfriend not being around, couldn't remember when he was playing for Pittsburgh was so funny.
It looked when he came out in the Penguins gear and was skating around, looked like he could still play. I mean, he still is, but I mean, it was been nice to see if he could still be grinding it out.
Just speaking of that, they need to waive the weight for Yager for the Hall of Fame. That's why he's not going, because he's still technically playing pro. They haven't started the weight.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He's second all time in points. And if he didn't miss with lockouts and he didn't go away for 3 years, he'd have like 2,400 points, man. It'd be a lock to be second forever. Like, it was pretty ridiculous what he was able to accomplish. He comes across as just a cool dude too. I see Jake slide into the nasty chat and says, I cannot escape this Kings Sabres game, because he did have the Kings in that Kings Sabres game on the parlay. And as Pat mentioned the following day on the Lock Shop, the most wrong pick in Lock Shop history. Like, we've all had incorrect picks, but has anybody ever missed by that much? That's a tough one. So Jake cannot get rid of it. He can't get away from it. It's going to be remembered forever.
Well, I don't know.
It's the Jake game.
Did anyone ever miss by that much? I don't know. Did anybody take the under yesterday in Vancouver, Minnesota?
that would have fit the bill with 17 combined goals.
Can you believe that? Like, the Canucks were up 5-2 at one point in that game. And it was 5-3 going into the third period. And we were all out over a Boston pizza with a bunch of my buddies watching this Jets Flames game. And someone goes, you're not going to believe this. And he pulls up the third period scoring summary, and they scored like 5 goals in the first 5 minutes. It was just bang, 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 bang.
There was a 6-goal stretch over 5 minutes and 12 seconds for the Wild. 6 goals in 5 minutes and 12 seconds.
Well, I'm on the Canucks tonight. I think I'm putting that out for. We're coming right out of holidays into the Lock Shop play of the day.
Yes,
with a plus 128 money line underdog.
Straight to the dog.
They played pretty well against the Jets on Saturday. I mean, that was a really, really fun game. Scheifele sort of took over in the second or the third period. The Jets power play kind of finally woke up, and that carried over into yesterday with Monahan getting 2 of his 3 goals on the power play. But for Vancouver, that's been so good all year long, and they went with DeSmith yesterday. Demko's going to be back in. They're playing Colorado, who has not been particularly good, to be frank, over the last little while. I know they kind of came back to beat the Coyotes, I think, in their last matchup. But I think Rick Tocchet is going to have everybody on notice after what happened yesterday. And listen, Vancouver's still sitting at the top of the entire National Hockey League, 80 points on the season right now. And, they've have back-to-back regulation losses. They haven't done that
How'd they
very
look
often
against
before this
Winnipeg?
year.
How'd they look against
I
Winnipeg?
mean, they look good. It was a heavy game. I mean, they were really trying to give it to the Jets, and the Jets some members of the Jets gave it back. Adam Lowry absolutely destroyed a guy, and the Di Giuseppe decided he wanted to fight Lowry. That was a bad move, and that moment, I think, really sort of turned that game for Winnipeg. But it was the top line getting going, and Kyle Connor, KFC, he had a very unfortunate play where he basically got burned by Tyler Myers and just sat there and watched Myers go in around the rest of the guys and, fire a backhand in to tie the game at 2. And it was so bad on the intermission. I mean, they even put the blue dot over him and just sort of watched afterwards. So I think he was somewhat on notice. I don't know if they did any in-between period video, but he had a couple of big assists in that in the third period. For the Jets to win the game. And that's what sort of made yesterday so disappointing. I mean, they gave up one early. They scored 3 quickies by Monahan, which I think was the fastest natural hat trick in Jets history. And then to Calgary's credit, I mean, coming off losses to the Sharks and a 5-0 embarrassment to the Red Wings, where an octopus got thrown on the ice, I did expect Calgary to be better last night because that is embarrassing. The Jets just, they got so off of their normal defensive game that made it hard for Connor Hellebuyck. And Helly had gone, I think, 32 straight games with 3 goals or less. So that one got blown up last night as well. But the good thing for Winnipeg is that as much as they'll have a bad taste on their mouth from that game, they're going to be able to get past it quite quickly today because this is a game that people have been waiting. I saw Chris Johnson in town today. Let's just say that CJ and a lot of the guys, they don't show up in the Peg on Tuesday nights very often if the Leafs aren't here. So
what do you think? Do you think anything happens tonight, or what do you think?
I would be surprised if something doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, these teams just absolutely hate each other so much. Hartman still has not really paid any sort of a price. And this goes back to last year. He was the one that had the cheap shot on Nikolai Ehlers and knocked him out for basically the rest of the regular season in the playoffs. He came back to play the final game. And then the high stick on Perfetti that the Jets were so pissed off about. So I know Bones was somewhat cryptic. He said there's going to be a couple of lineup changes tonight. I would be shocked if Logan Stanley's not in the lineup tonight. And we're gonna see a very different game, I think, than yesterday in Calgary today when things get going.
Who takes care of that business for the Jets?
Well, it's usually the captain.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like, put it this way: when Ryan Reeves was running around like an idiot at the end of last season, Lowry was the guy that stood up. Brendan Dillon can certainly fight.
Yeah,
and
Dillon can fight.
The Wild don't like Dillon because he was the one that cross-checked Kaprizov that hurt him earlier on in the season, although it was somewhat one of those plays that happens a ton of times a game. Was kind of just unfortunate, but whatever. They were really pissed off at him. And I'll tell you what, Stanley, if he's going to try and be in the lineup, and he's in tonight, like if he doesn't make his presence felt and take advantage of that big frame, shall we say, what are we even doing here? So I would imagine that all 3 of those individuals probably will be front and center at some point.
Some pretty big games tonight. We'll dive into them here. As Huss mentioned, WST parlay coming up a little bit later on. Dallas and the Rangers is a big one. Minnesota, Winnipeg, we already talked about. Vancouver, Colorado, a big one. Preds and Golden Knights, pretty big game as well. Out east, the Islanders are playing the Penguins. Those ones never really disappoint. Devils and Capitals tonight as well. You get Ottawa and Florida. I'll take it whip you through the starting goalies that have been confirmed so far for these games tonight. Build a little partner parlay here. I was a little surprised after all the games yesterday that we're getting so many here, but I'm loving it. Sorokin is confirmed for the Islanders tonight. Nedeljkovic will go for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Bobrovsky and the Florida Panthers confirmed. Korpisalo unconfirmed at this point for the Ottawa Senators. Charlie Lindgren is confirmed for Washington. Nico Dawes listed as unconfirmed for the Devils. It'll be Scott Wedgwood for the Dallas Stars. Shesterkin confirmed for the New York Rangers. Marc-Andre Fleury confirmed for the Wild. LB for the Jets. Georgiev for the Colorado Avalanche. Thatcher Demko not confirmed, but he's going to go for the Canucks. Aiden Hill and UC Saros, both at this stage unconfirmed for that Preds Golden Knights game. These are the later games. And then Merzlikins unconfirmed against Cam Talbot, unconfirmed for the Kings right now. Huss, what do you want to dive into here?
Well, I mentioned right off the bat, and this is the game I'm kind of leaning to for the play of the day. It is an underdog, whether we want to go with it in the partner parlay or kind of keep it separate. But I'm fascinated outside of the Winnipeg game tonight at this Canucks Avalanche game. I mean, just based on records, this is two of the best teams in the Western Conference. Should be a great game. But for Vancouver, who did not play a bad game on Saturday night by any stretch. I mean, that was just a great matchup. And, the Jets had a strong third period and got a couple and ended up winning. But for them to collapse the way they did and give up 7 goals in the third period last night, listen, I would say that I'm interested to see how they come back, but I expect them to be much, much better. And much like I was a little nervous about the Jets playing Calgary yesterday after the way that they got embarrassed on home ice by Detroit, I think this is a terrible spot for the Avalanche, who have just been sort of middling as of late. As I mentioned, they came back against the Coyotes in their last game, but have not been particularly good. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10, and a couple really tight games against teams that you expect to win. And listen, Vancouver, I'm done asking, are they for real? I mean, they are. They're a really, really strong, a deep team that has a coach that has been getting the best out of them. And they had 20 miserable minutes yesterday. And I'm going to lean on the Canucks to have a massive bounce back tonight and get that win at plus 128 right now on the money line. Also really like what Vegas is doing lately. And I heard that I guess John Hines was quite displeased with his Nashville Predators because he canceled their trip to the Sphere.
Really?
They were supposed to go see U2 or whatever, and he canceled it, which is sort of weird because they beat the Blues 5-2 in St. Louis in their last game, but I guess he was just so pissed off after the 9-2
spanking by the Stars, yeah.
Now, how about that? 2 9-2 games in one night earlier on the weekend as well. It was just
there was a couple of weird moments checking the scores over the last couple of days. I saw the 2 9-2s, and then yesterday I scrolled down and I saw the 10-7. I was like, wait, I refreshed it. I was like, what are you talking about here? I was watching that game. I was following along in that game a little bit earlier and saw it finish 10-7. So, yeah, a lot of goals being put up. It is weird to cancel the trip to the Sphere, though, coming off a win. Now, with that being said, maybe it's more of a drawn-out thing because the Preds have only won 3 of their last 10. So they're 3-7, or 3-6-1. In their last 10. And you mentioned, Vegas, they lost to Carolina 3-1. They lost to Minnesota 5-3. They shut out the Sharks 4-0. Prior to that, they had won 4 of their last 5. The only loss there being to the Detroit Red Wings over that stretch. And that included wins over the Rangers and the Edmonton Oilers. Just a couple of tough teams to beat. So you're liking Vegas then? Is that what you're saying tonight?
I do like Vegas, especially with Aiden Hill back in net tonight. I mean, I know Thompson got the shutout yesterday, but I'm sort of leaning Vegas. And, Rod Z's in on this in the chat talking about the under in the Jets Wild game. And I'll be honest, I was kind of really looking at that as well. Now, he says under 6, and the under 6 is minus 125. It's plus 102 for under 5.5. Now, I realize Hellebuck isn't playing, although Brossoit has been really good so far this season. I mean, the Jets haven't seen much of a drop-off, but a big part of that has been the way they played defensively. I will warn anyone, if you saw the second and third period of that game against Calgary, that did not look anything like the Jets team that we've seen for most of the year. But I think with the scenario and the situation, they'll get back to it. And I'm sort of with Rod. We're going to put something together. I think Jets win, a Scheifele goal, a Morrissey point for a WST parlay. but I don't mind that under 5.5 because I think both teams, after what happened yesterday, are going to be doing everything they can to get back to the way they play, and that is sort of worrying about the defensive side of the game first, and then letting the goals come as opportunities create themselves.
If we were looking to throw that into a parlay, or if anybody's looking to throw it into a parlay, and you want to, if you want to parlay a number, minus 154 is not a tough one to swallow, and that's what that number is. If you move that game up to 6.5 and take the under, so you feel a little bit more comfortable about that one. No Ottinger for the Stars. It's going to be Wedgwood tonight, going into New York to take on the Rangers. Shesterkin confirmed there as well. Do you have any leans in that other big game between two legitimate contenders?
Well, you know what, Dallas continues to really fight these top teams, and they've been by far the best team in the division over the last little while, 7-1-2, and I think these last two losses have both been in overtime or in shootouts. Like Wedgwood has been pretty good, but he certainly is no Jake Ottinger.
Yeah.
Rangers coming off that big win in the Stadium Series on the weekend. That was a wild one, eh? You don't usually see these outdoor games. I think the ice was amazing at MetLife. I think it might have been the best ice that they've ever had because there was no issue with scoring goals in either of the games with Jersey and Philly, and then the Islanders and Rangers going at it. I think I'd lean Rangers in this game. I mean, certainly knowing that Shesterkin is in right now. Dallas had a very tough game yesterday against Boston. The other game I'm interested, I don't know where you're at on this one, is the Islanders in Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh right now they're essentially playing playoff games right now. If they want to be in, they need to win and win a bunch of games. They need to win these makeup games that they have and get a lot closer. They really gave one away on the weekend while giving up those two late goals and blowing the 1-0 lead and losing in regulation to the Kings. And of course, the Islanders coming off the 6-5 overtime loss to the Rangers in the Stadium Series. This feels like to be honest, if you look at the standings right here, I should bring those up because I'm talking about Pittsburgh, but in a lot of the same ways, the Islanders are right there. So Pittsburgh is 3 points back of the Islanders with 2 games in hand.
Huge game, man. Huge game.
I mean, this is Islanders have lost 3 games in a row. They're 3-3-4 in their last 10. Pittsburgh's 3-6-1 in their last 10. I do sort of like Pittsburgh, though. I'm not ready to give up on the Penguins, and
it's funny. Like the Pens have lost 4 of their last 5. The Islanders have lost 3 in a row. Neither team's really playing that great at all heading into this. They've played twice so far this season. Quick turnaround in December, played on the 27th and 31st of December. And Pittsburgh won 7-0 on the road and then 3-1 at home. So they've beaten them twice already this year. It's funny you brought up that game because I was kind of leaning Pittsburgh in that one as well. So there's a few things like I'm with you on the Golden Knights. I like the Canucks in a bounce back spot at plus 128 as well. Pittsburgh Penguins minus 134 on the money line there. New Jersey, Washington. I haven't really got too much into that game. I'd probably lean towards the Rangers. We'll get to some of your thoughts in the nasty chat here as well. I see with the Kachuk brothers going head to head. Some people are on in that game on both sides of it. The Los Angeles Kings minus 238 at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Probably a stay away number on the money line.
I don't trust the Kings at all.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. You're not going to bet a money line, and the puck line's plus 109, and you can't trust the Kings right now to play puck line there.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, if anything, I would maybe put a sprinkle on the Blue Jackets because this would be so Kings to have the win in the fashion that they did, salvaging that road trip, come home and lay an egg in their first game at home. That's a team that I just don't trust. I have been not betting them very often. And I think it's a big time stay away tonight. I mean, listen, if we want to just keep that Vancouver game out, or if people want to get really aggressive, they can add the Vancouver game. But if we go Vegas, Pittsburgh, Rangers, just money line, it's at plus 436. So we're probably looking plus 475, plus 480 by the time the guys get get things set
You
up.
said
into the
Pittsburgh,
exclusive.
Rangers, Golden Knights?
Yeah.
3 teams at home. 3 home teams tonight. And what was the number? Was it +4?
Plus 436 if we put it in, and by the time we get a little boost, you're probably looking at plus 475 or plus 480.
All right, there we go. Let's lock that in. I'll ride with you on that one. Nasty Chat, that'll be available a little bit later on here in the exclusives. I know Jake is watching today, so Jake, let's lock that one in. Pittsburgh at home, and a big one against the Islanders. Rangers at home against Wedgwood and the Stars, and then the Golden Knights at home against the Nashville Predators, who might be, it'll be interesting. The Sphere game, maybe they're pissed. Like, I don't know if being motivated by not getting to watch U2 is a good thing. They might be like, screw you. We wanted to go to the Sphere. We didn't get it. We're going to put it on cruise control here in Vegas the rest of the way. So
here's the thing. I just don't know if they're good enough to beat Vegas. Like, I just think Vegas
in general,
is a lot better.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where
Let's get to
that's sort of where I'm coming out on this.
Let's get to a few plays over in the Nasty Chat. Let's see here. Spency 5 cents. He says, my lottery pick tonight: Matt Tkachuk, Tyler Toffoli, McKinnon, and Kempe anytime goal plus 28.15 on Coolbet. Duck Dad is in and says Tkachuk brothers tonight, riding both of them to score and get 4+ shots, because why not? Rod Z, Avs 11-0, last 11 at home in night games. Colorado play best at home. I get a Canucks angle. They give up 7 in the third. Not going to be backing you on that one. Richard Croft says, I don't know about the Canucks. Travel from Minnesota last night to the altitude of Colorado on the back-to-backs. Like we said, you can mix that one in if you want. We like it, but we're not putting it in the parlay. Chaz is in and says, Florida, Colorado, Los Angeles, and Vegas all in regulation through my insurance on that one as well. We got some soccer odds that have been rolling in as well. Rod Z says he likes the under 5.5 in the Winnipeg game. 1st to 3 type of game, 3-2. Jets win there. And Rod Z with another trend on Matthew Tkachuk says Tkachuk has went under his shot total in 9 out of the last 10. Going back to some of the stuff that Duck Dad was talking about as well, trying to get on the shots at 4+. But nice night in the National Hockey League. Definitely some games worth watching here tonight, which is
really
excellent.
good game.
Yeah.
Really good games as well.
We get Oilers and Bruins here tomorrow, which is going to be a fun one.
Oh.
Yeah,
that'll give us something to talk about. I mean, I would imagine, and I'm just going to look ahead to here are scores for today, but scores for tomorrow. Oh, and we still have 5 games
tomorrow, yeah.
In the league tonight. I guess, I think someone mentioned this in chat. Coming out of the NBA All-Star break, NHL's smart putting a bunch of games on.
Yeah, NHL doesn't.
Tomorrow.
NBA doesn't return till the 22nd. That's Thursday, right? So there's some time there.
Well, there's one clear top game tomorrow, and it's the one in Edmonton between the Bruins and the Oilers. You got a lot of lottery teams in the mix in the rest of the group, pretty much other than Toronto. And I guess Philadelphia right now, but it doesn't matter as long as they're playing the game. We'll be able to put a little sprinkle on.
That's one thing I want to get to here. I know you got Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up. You still probably got 5 minutes. What do you make of The Rock hopping on the mic with Roman Reigns and everything coming out of that leading up towards WrestleMania, and he's pointing to Roman Reigns when he's supposed to be talking to the crowd and saying, "You're losers," and then the L up when everybody else had the one.
Wow.
Did you see this?
I like the fact that you're getting into these streets of good wrestling analysis, Dusty. You are. I think there's a lot to it right now.
It was The Rock. It was Stone Cold for me. Like Attitude Era in high school, 97. So when these guys pop back up, it does pique my interest. And then obviously on X, on Twitter or whatever, guys breaking down The Rock's speech and how he was pointing here at this time. And I'm fascinated by it. I'm sucked back in. So I want to know your thoughts on what he said and where this goes.
Well, for right now, they're kind of making it look like Rock is riding with Roman Reigns and the bloodline and the big family story. But I have a feeling whether it happens before WrestleMania or during their big WrestleMania main event, I have a feeling that Rock will probably cost Roman potentially the belt, and then they'll have a year to set up the battle for the head of the table between Rock and Roman. Potentially next year is WrestleMania. I guess you could maybe do it at SummerSlam, but it would be such a huge event that I mean, Cody Rhodes is the guy right now. Everyone loves him. Everyone went crazy when it looked like he wasn't going to get his title shot. So I think that's where things are going. And when we get cool bet lines for WrestleMania, I guarantee you there'll be a big number beside Cody Rhodes, even though Roman hasn't lost in like 4 years.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
It seems like that's happening. But yeah, no, it is interesting. We'll be paying a little more close attention to the SmackDown shows over the next
like, are they gonna? How much are they gonna mix the Rock in here now, moving forward? Like,
well, it's a great question. You know, he's on the board.
He's on the board of the new ownership group, right?
Yeah, like which is TKO, which is UFC and WWE together. So the fact that he's involved in it the way that it is, and they know that The Rock is good for business. I mean, as much as he wants to do it, I think there was a chance that he was always going to come back for a bit of a swan song. Still in unbelievable shape. So at some point they'll want to see him go with Roman. If it's not happening at WrestleMania, it'll be happening beforehand. But he adds some major star power, and I think the ratings and everything for WWE is showing it right now. So I don't think
got me sucked back in, buddy. I really don't care about anything else. I'm just like, The Rock, what's going to happen here? And then I mean, I was looking at a bunch of still images of like 5 different photos and when he pointed here, he was talking to the crowd, but he was pointing at Roman Reigns at the Bud Light. And then, it was just, I love it. I'm a huge Rock guy. I got a lot of time for it, man.
Hey, one other thing that as much as I missed talking about the Super Bowl after the fact, the other thing that I missed the most was all of the aftermath of the Morgan Riley incident.
Oh, buddy.
And like, at what point, I never thought that we would get into empty net goal etiquette discourse.
You missed a hell of a week.
Those poor empty nets.
Oh.
Like, I have to tell you, I loved Greg doing that. This is an Ottawa team that had a terrible season. They're playing their biggest rivals at home. 75% of the crowd is cheering for the blue and white. And he iced the game with a slapper into the empty net. Like, I'll be honest, I never thought that was such a big deal or slap in the face up until this event right now.
Yeah, but you don't play for the Leafs.
I mean, and listen, Morgan Riley's not a dirty player, and I get it. Hey, you want to go do something. It was just stupid to cross-check him in the face the way that he did. If you just punched him or something like that, it would have been, it literally probably wouldn't have even made the highlights. But they were bent about it, and then all the aftermath of like Ryan Reeves and everyone getting into it, saying, Morgan Riley was right in what he did. I mean, I guess if you want to say answering to a situation like that, sure. But the way they did it, and again, let's think about these poor empty nets. I mean, they're not able to defend themselves. No more violence against empty nets, please. The Ridley Greggs of the world. Tell you what, if the Jets are up 1 tonight against Minnesota and someone's going in for an empty net goal to ice it, you're damn right. Myself and everyone in that building will hope that they take a 5-alarm clapper right in there and then maybe turn around with the Stone
Let's go. Yeah.
Go to bed. Make that happen. Hey, I'm just going to pull the curtain back a little bit here, folks, but I've been noticing handsome Tommy Gazzola popping in from a live on location.
Is he?
What's coming up on EST? He's not in there right now. He's popped in a couple times.
Okay, yeah. He's lurking around there. Yeah, he's in the background testing. We've been doing we will be doing a bunch of pre and post games at Hudson's. So we've got Hudson's,
Nice.
West Edmonton Mall, Hudson's, White Ave. So, and I saw Rod Z, I think, was asking, guys, you got pregame anywhere tomorrow? Pregame tomorrow will be at Hudson's on Bourbon Street at West Edmonton Mall. So Tommy will be there for the pregame show, 8 o'clock puck drop, 6:30 pregame show, postgame from there as well. Our whole crew is going to be back there on Friday for the Oilers and Islanders, a little bit of a watch party with the crew. So make some plans to join us there as well. That one will be at West Edmonton Mall. So yeah, we've got I think 4 games a month between now and the end of the regular season. Hopefully the playoffs as well. So Tommy was down testing some internet connections for us today. So that's why you would have saw him pop up behind the scenes.
Oh, I thought maybe you guys were doing like oil stream or something right after this with.
No, we got 2
Tommy
guys and a
down.
goalie coming up, and that'll be Cass and Gager. They'd probably hop in here at some point in the next little while. What's coming up on Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy?
Well, I mean, listen, a full wrap of a busy weekend for the Jets with a win and a loss, and then diving right into this game tonight with the Wild in town. So Jesse Pierce is going to join us from the Twin Cities. We'll talk Jets and a little bit of a full recap of CFL free agency with Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Now that sort of the dust has settled. What did March say? March pretty pumped that Sean and
Marsh was pretty happy. I told him at dinner the
Brady?
other day. He just stood up. He just finished his dinner. I said, "Hey, you know that Sean and Oliveira back?" Hey, he's like, "Yes, yes!" Like he's just, he's all fired up. He just doesn't want to deal with heartbreak again, man. he emotionally can't handle another Grey Cup loss to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That'll be it. It'll be done. It'll be devastated.
How did he feel about the Super Bowl?
He was happy. He was happy with the Super Bowl. He was going for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was on the Niners early in the playoffs, but once they eliminated Daddy's team, he's like, I gotta go back to the Chiefs again. I said, of course,
Yeah.
Wise decision, kid. Wise decision. So he was actually pretty happy about the Super Bowl. It was a good result for Marsh there. So yeah, not as happy as you, but pretty happy nonetheless. So
Hey, Marsh has great choices, great taste in teams, particularly in the CFL. So I figured he'd be down with Mahomes, and maybe next time he goes to get a haircut, he like literally every kid in Kansas City when I was down there.
they have all hit the same hair.
If you have even the smallest amount of curl in your hair and you are a kid under 17 years old, you get the Mahomes. Like it's almost the only thing that's offered right now at Kansas City area barbers.
Marshall's been getting his haircut at a place called Beaner's up until now, which is like for kids, you get to sit in like a car or something. But now he's too big. He's almost 5 feet tall. So the next haircut he gets, he's coming with Daddy. We're gonna go get haircuts together for the first time. So it's gonna be a big one. That's a big day right there. So,
No
yeah, it
doubt.
should be a lot of fun. All right, Hush, you have a good Winnipeg Sports Talk today. We'll be talking golf tomorrow. Obviously, you got to go on a deeper dive here. By the way, it was Beef Nips texted in earlier and said Vedanta for the Mexico Open. Great course. It was the first time seeing a gator on the links. He's been there. He's played it. Saw a gator on the links. How about that?
It's I mean, that whole area is absolutely beautiful. I kind of regretted not getting out there to see it. I mean, if I was there a bit later, I probably would have gone out and just walked the course and checked it out for a day. But we were in good stuff. But again, thanks to the fellas for holding it down for the week. I'm just seeing our WST parlay is up. If you looking at this one for Jets Wild tonight, Jets to win, Morrissey anytime point, Mark Scheifele to score, plus 425, and the lock shop partner parlay is up. Ooh, got us up to 5-1 tonight.
Beautiful.
Look at that for a nice one. So let's get on that right away before it goes down. Rangers, Penguins, Golden Knights, all to win. This would be a very nice welcome back if we could, just bang off a partner parlay right out of the gate. We hit those 2 on the week before I left.
That's
going
right.
Into the Super Bowl week, just the vibes were so good heading into the Super Bowl. Now we got to pick up where we left off. So let's get the dub tonight. Have a good one on 2 guys, and I'll look forward to doing it again with you tomorrow.
Sounds good,
pal.
buddy. Welcome back. We'll talk to you tomorrow. There you go. That's us, Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up. We got a couple minutes left here on the Lock Shop. If you have any final bets that you want to get on tonight, hit us up in the nasty chat, or you can text us 780-218-9999. Like we would do most of these days when we wrap up, I'm going to NBA futures. I just want to take a quick look at the NBA futures board. I was going to lay out the exclusives. Huss got that for us. So a couple of interesting things here. NBA championship, Celtics right now at plus 285. The Nuggets plus 425. The Clippers at plus 550. The Bucks at plus 550 as well. Suns 13-1. Knicks, Thunder, Timberwolves, 76ers, Cavs, all within 18 to 22-1. The MVP award's an interesting one. Like Jokic right now is a minus 154 favorite to win the MVP again. And we know that Jokic does, everything insanely well. It would not surprise me if he's won it. He's averaging 26 points per game right now. But that's 13th best in the association. The Canadian SGA, Gilgeous-Alexander, plus 225. Giannis is 7-1. I'm intrigued by Doncic at 7-1. He's at 7-1 right now. He leads the league in scoring by 3 points. Luka's at 34.2 points per game right now. SGA's at 31. So he's got a nice cushion to lead the league in points per game. He also is third in the league in assists per game at 9.5. The Dallas Mavericks right now are 7th in the conference. The Thunder with SGA, they're at number 2. The Nuggets are 4th right now. So he's lower than a lot of the other names on this list in the overall team standings. But I'm kind of intrigued by Luka at 7-1, to be honest with you. If the Nugs can slide into like the top 6, he leads the league in scoring by 3 points, finishes top 5 in assists as well. I wonder if they go to him. I mean, he's a guy that's kind of been MVP caliber for quite some time, but he's never got one. Embiid won last year. Probably could have been Jokic's anyway, but there's always that NBA MVP fatigue. Giannis got 2. That was enough. Jokic has 2. That's enough. Embiid's hurt now. So I don't know if the vote swings back around to Jokic here, or if you look at the Canadian or Luka at 7-1. I like SGA. I'd love to see him win. It would be huge. Another Canadian winning the MVP. Are you kidding me? But I don't know. I find let's see where Luka, if he can stay healthy the rest of the way. Where does he come in here? And I think it's 7-1. It's an interesting number right now. So something to keep tabs on. They also have this one, which is interesting. Will Wemby get a quadruple double this season? The yes is plus 900. I mean, putting up a quadruple double in today's game would be insane. But this guy's a freak. I mean, it's like the assists that you would worry about. So that might be a fun little sprinkle just in case. He's minus 667, by the way, to win Rookie of the Year. So he's running away with that one. I think if Luka stays healthy, he's going to win. You can get him right now at 7-1. So it's probably the only NBA futures you'll hear on the Lock Shop this week. I know, hashtag Association City, all that fun stuff. 2 guys and a goalie coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk. We got lots to get to. The Edmonton Oilers getting that win against the Arizona Coyotes. Wasn't one of the ones that you would write home about, but still a win is a win, and we'll get into it on 2 guys and a goalie today. That is going to do it for the Lock Shop. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Good luck with all of your bets tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow.